keeping people away from information so that we can keep them operating at a low frequency.
That's right.
That's important for us because we have been manipulated. We have been exploited for our lack of information, our lack of knowledge, and our lack of resources. Mm-hmm. And the greatest resource on the face of the earth is information.
The greatest.
What's going on, family? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Family Business.
Okay.
Our health, our wealth, our business, and I'm so excited to bring to you a good brother of mine. You know what I'm saying? We've been rocking out for a few years now in a couple of different ways, man. My brother, without further ado, my brother Knowledge. How you doing, bro?
Pretty good, man.
You good?
Peace and power, man.
No doubt. Now, I definitely wanted to bring you on because as we were talking just about before the camera started rolling, the different areas of knowledge in which you bring to the table. Understanding of the meta natura, understanding of commerce. You mentioned that you're a historian, and I feel like all of those are areas in which our people need to be able to be well versed in.
Right.
We need to get our information, do our knowledge, do the work. There's a lot for us to understand about the world we live in, and that's why I wanted to bring you on because and I think that's going to be the focal point of the episode because there's a lot for us to understand about the actual world we're living in. A lot of us are just, we go with the flow, we understand media, we understand what the culture is presented to us, but there's so many things that go on, there's so many underlying points to our existence in itself. So, I don't want to take up too much time, but go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about, your background a little bit.
My name is Knowledge. The Barber's elevated my name to Knowledge Born 7. Dealing with my numerology, I have about 4 sevens. That's in my name, as well as in my birthday, month and year. So I came into the knowledge game, I guess, in commerce. A lot of people don't know. I did start off, from the streets, of East St. Louis, Illinois. My mother. And a lot of my family from Southside Chicago as well. Mm-hmm. So, came up in the streets, rough area. And from the streets, I went to church. A lot of people don't know that. I was a Church of God in Christ. I was a preacher.
Really?
A lot of people did not know that. And then that, they called me the scripture man. I always knew scriptures, plain scriptures. Mm-hmm. I knew the Bible frontwards and backwards. But what changed me was when my pastor and the elder of the bishop of Church of God in Christ, Southeast Illinois jurisdiction, they was unable to answer questions that I had. Questions coming out of the book of Ezekiel, questions coming out of the book of Jasper. Okay. And by me being a street dude, I had a question about one of the New Testament scriptures that said, obey your master. Right. So they couldn't really go off into the depth of it. My pastor, his thing was, you follow me as I follow Christ. And that wasn't sticking to the meat of my bones. You know what I'm saying? As it stuck to the other men in the congregation as far as their meat and bones.
Right.
So from there, I started doing my own research. And then I started learning about the government. Now we get into commerce. I started learning about Admiralty Maritime Equity Law. And learning that, I started learning how China trade with India. India trade with Pakistan. Pakistan trade with France. And I started learning, the different areas of commerce, And learning commerce, I learned about the laws of water. And then I started learning about the laws of the land, actually laws of the water. There are really no laws of the land. You know what I'm saying? And laws of the water is how they continue to perpetuate madness. I tell anyone, you want to know how they put stuff in our face blatantly, go Google I think it's Miami, Florida's federal courthouse. On the top of it is a boat. And then when you go into the building, you got this sign and say you're a United States citizen. There's a difference between the U.S. and the United States citizen. And when you say you're a United States citizen, then you fall up under commerce. You know what I'm saying? You fall up under the code, like we in Georgia. And you have the OCGA, Official Code of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these things that they send people to jail for a code, a penal code.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
For a penal action. Those are words that I learned in the Black's Law Dictionary. Because also me coming from the street, from church, and into knowledge and commerce, I haven't gotten to the other area. I learned that the average man only knows about 300 words with full definition. We're supposed to be able to speak different languages. We're supposed to have a plethora as far as vocabulary. We're supposed to know science, not just one science. We're supposed to know multiple sciences. You know what I'm saying? And in dealing with commerce, I started dealing with foreclosure homes. You know, I stopped about 30 foreclosure homes here in the state of Georgia. I stopped about 5 sheriff sales. A sheriff sale is when someone is getting put out their home for not paying their mortgage or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's the tricky thing about the mortgage. Because the mortgage, when you get a mortgage, you have a promissory note, which they're not legal to monetize or securitize. And they do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? So with them dealing with the promissory note, I was able to stop people foreclosures by doing simple things of verification of debt requests. You know what I'm saying? Or asking these financial institutions, where is that note that I signed? Because that note that you signed is money. Now we still into commerce, you know what I'm saying? Public and private. Mm-hmm. In the public, they give you the fiat dollar bill, the currency. And for every dollar bill, it's supposed to be a T bill. And then for that combination, you're supposed to have a certain amount of gold to back up the resources. The goal for the United States is the people. We're being taxed. The only we being taxed.
We collateralized.
Yeah, we being attacked. Mm-hmm. Not just that. One of the 5 forms of government is anarchy. So they have to keep up a level of chaos. And how they keep up a level of chaos is with the media. Propaganda. Media. Multi-ethnic destruction in America. Mm-hmm. Media also means maniac Europeans devil in action. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Professor Grip. He taught me that. And it made sense. Because when you're dealing with the media, we're dealing with devils. Mm-hmm. And I tell people, you know, we still in commerce. We still talk about commerce. I tell people, they're sending people to jail for 20, 30, 40, 50 years because they violated a code. Mm-hmm. A code. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous. That's a devil. And when the judge sits on the bench in bank means bench in Latin means bank. So the judge sits on the bank. Who is she collecting for? He or she. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And they have to have their information filed with the Secretary of State. That's how you get to a judge. What's their name filed with the Secretary of State? So you can file a lien on them when they are operating in anarchy, when they're perpetuating chaos. A judge is a referee. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Supposed to listen to 2 sides and making a biased opinion, but you can make the judge dance too. You know what I'm saying? And in my school of thought, we call it standing on our square. Right. Where we confront the judge, we ask a series of questions, and we try not to let them come in and we try not to let them come in and assert jurisdiction over us. But there's a law word. I tell you, words. You gotta learn words. You know, there's a law word called minimum contact, and in that law word, that's how they get jurisdiction. You got a website, driver's license, stuff like that. You know, that's how they get so-called jurisdiction over the United States citizens. And then from commerce, I started learning where people come from. I'm familiar with the Hebrews. Mm-hmm. I'm familiar with Islam. You know, what stuck to me was comedic science, You know, we didn't call Africa Africa. It was called Kemet. The people of Kemet were called the Kemetu. You know, and from there I started learning a great deal of science about us as a people, the importance of our DNA, the importance of not tainting your DNA. We're the only race of people that have memory in our DNA. You know what I'm saying? We're the only race of people that the woman can produce any race from her. Right now, Europeans are living, especially some of the elite, are living with melanated men and women organs in them. We are the top of the food chain as far as us being snatched and being experimented on. We are, you know, they have a convention every year. They have a melanin convention. They have a melanin convention every year to talk about the new science in melanin. Shout out to Dr. Africa. You know, the new science in melanin. What's going on with melanin? You know,
There's not to, you know, cut you off, but just wanted to go from the street to then the religion, then commerce,
that's right.
then history,
That's right.
then to, let's call it origins, genetics, things like that. So one of the things for our people, just, you know, this is family business, there was a certain amount of knowledge and information that we were cut off from.
It was.
We were forbidden to read at a certain point in time in this country. We were considered less than a man, 3/5 of a man.
That's right. That has not been abolished or done away with. It's still on the books.
The one thing that I draw from that is there is, you know, I'm not the one to quote scriptures, but there is a scripture that says our people suffer for the lack of knowledge.
That's correct.
And
people perish for lack of knowledge.
For lack of knowledge. And so there is an agenda to keep us operating at a lower frequency.
Yeah, a very low vibration.
There's an agenda to keep us, as I call it, confused and lost. There's an agenda to keep us brainwashed. There's an agenda to have us only focused on very superficial, very shallow things in this world. And from all of the different areas of studying, if we were able to tap into that knowledge, that would make us a dangerous threat to this current power structure.
That is true. The current power structure is delicate. It's weak.
Right.
Knowledge is reigning very rapidly upon this earth. One of the things that's happening is social media, teaching people. When COVID happened, it turned a lot of black people into herbalists.
Right.
Everybody wants to know how to boost their immune system. Everybody wants to know like what's good for the skin, what's good for killing germs. Everybody wants to know like, you know, I need to go cleanse. I need to clean my colon. You know what I'm saying? And knowledge now, it's the knowledge is there.
So one thing about that, I feel like the knowledge is at the tip of our fingertips because of this information age. But what we are lacking is the context in which to use that knowledge. Because there is a certain understanding when we start talking about the truth, and people have their truth and your truth and my truth, but there is a truth that is being hidden behind this current agenda. And when we talked about the agenda before, being keeping people away from information so that we can keep them operating at a low frequency.
That's right.
That's important for us because we have been manipulated. We have been exploited for our lack of information, our lack of knowledge, and our lack of resources. And the greatest resource on the face of the earth is information.
The greatest.
You see what I'm saying? So and this is just for our audience, but if you were talking to a black man that was trying to come into the understanding of who he is or who she is, or a black woman that's coming into who she is, where would you tell them to start off and where would you kind of direct them in that path? Keeping in mind that we are being attacked. This is a war.
First, I would tell them to start with their own story. You know what I'm saying? You're going to learn about Africa, Kenya, all that stuff like that. A Bible told me, he said, learn your story first. Where your mother come from, where your father come from. Learn that journey. And in that journey, learn the science in that journey. When I mean learn the science, why did your mother do this? Why does your father do that? And then break it, and you're gonna break it all the way down. And then at the same time, you do need to add as far as financial literacy.
Right.
Because when you're learning your history, you also know you haven't had the financial literacy to advance.
Right.
And I know a young lady, she learned where her mother came from, her father came from, and she learned that her grandmother made a very, very natural apple pie. You know what I'm saying? Now that thing on the market. Now she's selling it. You know what I'm saying? So in her journey, she found something
That without boom on the way.
that helps her, you know what I'm saying, make money. Now she know where her mother come from, her father come from, where her grandmother come from, you know, and then you can trace yourself back to certain areas on this planet and certain tribes.
Right.
You can trace yourself back to what did your mother's mother do at a particular time during race riots? What can you do to change? You know, for anybody who is getting into this, I would definitely tell them to start reading. You know what I'm saying? You can read Destruction of Black Civilization.
You got that book.
Yes, read
But Chancellor.
Chancellor, yes, Chancellor. Also read I think it's called The Black Power Blueprint.
Is that Amos Wilson?
Amos Wilson. Get into the books. Get into the books. Don't be hungry. Take one chapter at a time.
Right.
Take one chapter at a time. Because when you rush yourself into knowledge, you spread yourself thin. I've seen a lot of young men who rush into study and read, and sometimes too much knowledge will drive you crazy.
Right. There's a saying that I've always held close to: you could be crushed by the weight of your own knowledge.
You can.
And then you get so busy caught up learning things, and it pulls you in different directions to where that you're stuck at a standstill because you're still faced with the world itself and the challenges that they present.
That's right.
But one thing I do, I want people to understand is that the challenges that we face are strategically put in front of our face as Black people. We don't face the same challenges as people from other different areas, races, and things like that. Because there's a specific agenda that has been placed upon us.
Right.
And I feel like there's an understanding that we have to come to that we're not the same. We are different. We are the original. We come from the original man and the original woman. And so with that being said, we talked about on the podcast the agenda of destroying the natural order and they're destroying the divine order so that they can then place in their own unnatural order. And you see that a lot of times with some of the current agendas. But one of the things is when they are starting to destroy the natural order, you have to destroy the people who represent the natural order.
That's right. You have to contaminate all sources in order to fulfill your madness and your chaos. This is called white supremacy.
Right.
You know, they know who the original man is. Islam say we're the cream of the crop.
Genetically, yes.
Genetically, that's
we are
true.
dominant. And I think there's Melvin's law. It starts with an M, I forget, but he basically said that we are the dominant. Our genes are dominant, and you cannot get the recessive. You cannot get the dominant from the recessive, but you can get the recessive from the dominant.
Exactly.
We are the dominant.
We dominate every sport. Give me one sport we haven't dominated.
That's what.
And we still dominate every sport.
Water polo. They said water polo. They still got.
Come on.
Well, not to get too far off, but the reason why I bring that up is because of that. We have to have a desire for the knowledge. We have to have, and we have to see the importance of it. You know, a lot of times, especially now in combating, the biggest challenge for us right now is getting people to cut off from this current culture, getting cut off from this current agenda, and then refocusing themselves on the things that are important and things that do hold value. And we have to be able to understand that when we look at other races and other groups of people, they don't have the same importance of it because it doesn't affect them the way it affects us.
Right.
We have to be able to focus in on what is beneficial, what is in our best interest, what is conducive to our growth as a people, because we are different. this narrative that we're all alike and we're all, you know, we all bleed the same blood and we all the same thing.
We definitely different.
We're different. Genetically, cognitively, we are different.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so until you start to understand that not only are you different, but there is something special about the origin of who you are. You have to be able to then take that understanding and use it to have that thirst for knowledge, have that that thirst to go and look and read about, you know, what did my father, who's my father, and who's my mother's mother, you know. So that's really I you know, kind of come back to that. But now continue going. You know.
Yeah, but that's important. We are important as a people, and learning where you come from is definitely important. And not just that, dive deep into it. Really get into the science of it. Know that the star in the sky belongs to you. The sun belongs to you. It doesn't belong to no other race. Right over there in Africa right now, in northern Africa, the Arabs say this is their land. The Chinese over there say this is their land, but they walk around with umbrellas. We walk around with no umbrellas over there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's key right there. When the sun is at its hottest peak, they running. But when the sun is at its highest peak, we are being energized by that.
Right.
That's dealing with the magnetism. You know what I'm saying? And we have to realize this. Us as a people, and when we get into knowledge, know that knowledge enters the black man's mind intuitively. You know what I'm saying? We have a lot of people who do not have a big education, who does not have a big grammar, but yet they still find a way to make a way to have a family and to make a job. And not only that, but have some morals and some ethics so they can survive on this monopoly board. So they can survive in commerce.
They have to.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
Because we have a will to live. One thing is ghetto. They say, baby kids, we don't die, we multiply. That's the truth.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? That's the truth. But sometimes we have to stop. We have to stop listening to the media, stop listening to the news, and really begin to research. And once you tap into that inkling, that spark, will push you farther and move you and motivate you, get you out of your emotions. Energy, emotion is emotions. Get out your emotions and grasp hold of that energy, that vibrant, that good frequency that's been sparking you, and you be like, wow, I know I'm different. You know, and now the shirts are everywhere. We got Chinese people selling shirts. Black is powerful. Melanin and educated. Everybody, you know, selling the shirts, because one thing I do know is more videos surfacing of Europeans, which we call the Wazungus, you know what I'm saying, are surfacing that they saying who are the first. And when we go places, when you start researching and traveling and you start going to different places, go talk to the locals. They will tell you the truth. You know what I'm saying?
And so I think that's one of the biggest things is it's not that people don't know, it's the fact that we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
You know what I mean?
That's the biggest thing.
We don't know, and we haven't found the value in ourselves in order to know. And so one thing about, you know, that I always tell people is that we have to search, we have to seek knowledge. We have to seek. And I ask people when I try to talk people into the beginning understanding, you know, it's like, are you curious? Are you curious of the world? Are you curious about the world that you live in, or do you already? Or have you accepted the understanding that has been given to you by the oppressor? I have a book that I read, and it's called Spiritual Warfare. One of the things that I've touched on in spiritual warfare is there's two types of I guess you could say learning.
Is that your book? Yeah, okay, good book. You read, that's your book.
No, I wrote.
Okay, yeah, I read your book. Yeah, I read. I'm like, okay, that's your book.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Hey man, call me knowledge, man. I'll be on it, man.
Oh man. So I wanted to stress 2 points in that section about the 2 ways of learning and 2 ways of understanding. It is the external. We learn from people. We learn from experiences. We learn from formal education. But then there's another type of learning, and that is the intuitive learning.
That's right.
So when we start, and you really have to kind of open up your imagination. Well, not you obviously, but for people who have to really have to open up their imagination and understanding. Not imagination in terms of creating, but you have to be able to see past what you have been shown. When we first start talking about...
to cut you off, that's the gift of manifestation.
being able to visualize. And
Yes.
no doubt, no
Yes.
doubt, and yeah, that's part of the understanding of alchemy as well. You know what I mean? But we could get into that. But what the intuition, when we start thinking
Yes.
about where the root of all knowledge came from, our original man, our original woman, what they did was understand. They tapped into something that was intuitive. We call that the inner understanding, the inner knowledge, and that knowledge, comes from the connection that you have to the natural world itself.
Mhm.
See, one thing when we start talking about who we are, right? We are. You're like, yo, who are you? I am, or I might say I am, Keter, but that's just a name. But when we start talking about who we are the descendants of our ancestors and an extension of creation. And because we are an extension of creation, you come with the understanding and knowledge that creation holds itself. And so there's an understanding that life itself carries information, the vibration itself. Us being a part of that vibration, us being a part of that frequency, we are able to learn from our natural sources as well as our genetic lineage. So when we start talking about epigenetics and the things that are passed down, literally things are passed down through our DNA.
That's true.
Knowledge is passed down through our DNA, understandings, as well as traumas.
Trauma's passed down.
Yeah.
I give a different story about trauma. When the mother elephant is getting beat by a stick by the trainer or a rod, and the mother elephant is pregnant, the baby elephant never seen a rod or a trainer.
Right.
But when the baby elephant is born, the trainer raised the rod, and the baby elephant flinched just like the mother does. That's passed down through trauma.
Right. And that's one of the things that we go through as of right now, and people don't like to give it too much value, but that's one of the things that happens when we start talking about our people and our reluctance to read and our reluctance to learn, is because for a long time we were forbidden and even punished for seeking out knowledge.
Right.
And so we have to be able to overcome that, because that behind that fear, behind that wall of ignorance is the origin of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's really what's going to allow us to come into our own identity.
Right.
But I just wanted to kind of touch on that. Was there something that you wanted to add to that?
Definitely got to deal with the trauma. Knowledge does enter us intuitively, and I speak about that because let's say you out and you only been raised by your mother and your grandmother. You got some uncles around, and you look up one day, you're a mechanic. You never know why you're a mechanic, why you love cars. You don't really have a big education.
Right.
Barely made it out of high school, but in this particular time, you're a very good mechanic. So good that you caught on to dealing with old cars, Chevys and Corvette, Chevy, Ford, all of that. Now you done built yourself up to dealing with new cars, electric and all of that. Where did it come from? You learned from your uncles. Changing tires, changing brakes, changing oil. Just keeping the vehicle running, because at a particular time, we was unable to pay for mechanics to work on our cars.
Right.
We did everything ourselves. We work on our cars ourselves. That's knowledge putting you intuitively, giving you that spark. And from you being a mechanic, you go on to be a master technician. After you built yourself up, then you be like, okay, I'm gonna go to school. You might be 40, 50. I'm gonna go to school, get a degree. Fly through the course. Why? Because that's the knowledge that's passed down into you.
You already had that.
You already have it in you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Me, myself, and I talk about my journey. And when I was in the streets, my mother always told me this. She said, baby, you want to know something, read it. When I was in the streets, my dad always told me, never spread yourself too thin. Once your name Millage, you will slip in it. When I went to the church house, I used to pray for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Then I changed from that, and I started studying commerce, and I learned what understand means. Understand is a law word. It means to stand under somebody else's law. A very, very bad law word. And then I started saying overstand.
Right.
And then from overstand, I started learning some things from Islam and the 5% nation. You know what I'm saying? And from there, I build. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
I start building. Then I start getting into the cosmology of the black man. I started getting into the different science. You know what I'm saying? Then I started learning, like what you just mentioned something earlier, and it brought back to my remembrance, you know, how we did learn. We did have knowledge intuitively, and our ancestors did learn, but not just only that, we were students of nature.
Right, we studied the stars.
We studied the stars. You know what I'm
Studied
saying?
the cosmos. We
It's
studied
a
nature.
book dealing with the Dogon. I think it's called The Conversations of Atamali. And this is a high priest. He wasn't even a high priest. He was a priest. He was blind, and the Europeans went over there to study with them or to learn or whatever. They would never let them into the inner circle. They would keep them, you know, a little bit far away. And he wrote a book about it. That's the book that he wrote. The things, Conversations of Atamali, something like that. And I'm saying this to say that he was blind, and he wrote in the sand all the star systems with a stick in the sand. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So there is no excuse now for us not to be in power, or us not to be powerful. It's dealing with the mind. Do we want to be powerful? Do we want to make a change? Do we want to make a difference? You get what I'm saying? And in so many ways, some of us do, and some of us just want to continue and be in the matrix.
So one thing I always, and just to kind of go off of what you were saying, to continue with that, the learning from nature.
Yes.
And being able to understand what is natural order and what is divine order. When I have a question, I go to nature. Because nature will not lie to you. Late nature will operate the way it was meant to nature. When we start talking about animal instincts and we start talking about things like that, natural law, the nature has a way, an order of continually presenting itself. Nature is undefeated. Nature has been here long before we have.
Millions.
It will be here long after we have.
Somebody, one scientist even said trillions.
Right.
Of
Nature,
years.
because it has a law, a natural equilibrium to itself that will perpetuate life.
Right.
It is now that man has come in and has introduced unnatural ways of living, unnatural laws, which is destroying it. But that's an agenda in itself. But what you said before about is our, we have to learn it. There is a I would say, agenda. You know what I mean? that is the word I guess we could stick by. But there's an agenda.
By that word.
Yeah, to disrupt our
Natural everything.
our connection.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's becoming increasingly difficult for people to understand where the natural law begins and where this culture, this man-made culture that we're being presented in front of our place, and which there's so many distractions, confusion, there's so many different, and I said this the other day with social media, people pull you in so many different ways. It will confuse you as to what is the truth versus what is your truth versus what is their truth.
Yes. Truth, I tell people this when I speak, truth is what you prove to yourself. If you prove it's true, then it's true. And then getting back to nature. You want to know the power of nature, go hug a tree. Take your shoes off.
Grounding.
Walk in the grass. You want to know the power of nature? Eat a fresh fruit from the natural water supply of the earth. You get what I'm saying? A birch tree. B-I-R-C-S. You can put a spout in that. That tree naturally is the water from earth. Watermelon. You know what I'm saying? It's natural. The natural water. It's some people in different countries call it liquid gold. They literally eat watermelon. That's it.
Yeah.
The power of H3O versus H2O.
Right.
That's the things we got to get back to, and not just only that. As I was saying before, some of us are willing to stay in the matrix. Like in the Matrix, the guy who was a Judas.
Yeah.
He wanted to eat. Ooh, this steak tastes so good.
Right.
We got to get rid of that. We got to get rid of the mindset of what the Europeans have put on us as far as European history, as far as European religion.
Bastardized religion.
Yeah, bastardized. English is a bastardized language.
Right.
You know, as I said before, the average man only knows 300 words. A bad language to even know and to learn. But it's the language that's been pushed upon a lot of people because they have an army. You know what I'm saying? And this so-called big machine that's in place that constantly pushes it. Right. But we got to get back to what is important. What definitely is important is overstanding what's going on in this world. They're definitely trying to get rid of us. We are the most hunted. We are the most people who have been scientists on.
Right,
melanin right now, you can go and scrape your skin and sell melanin. Melanin is higher than gold right
It's
now.
like $400, $500.
Man, melanin is higher than gold right now. And I've been knew about that before it got all over TikTok and everybody like, oh wow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
that's part of the thing right now is because all of these social media, our access to knowledge, it makes it so trivial, but there's actual context behind all of that. There's a reason why our women and our children are being trafficked. There's a reason why when children are being trafficked. There's a whole practice of androgyny or
adrenochrome. Yes.
There's a practice of taking our organs. There's a practice of taking our melanin, our blood, and it's like, oh, we hear this and it pops up on our TikTok feeds and stuff like that. But this has been going on for centuries.
Right.
This is going on and it's because there is context behind who we are and what we are in relationship to this world. And so when we get lost into commerce, right, and we start looking like, oh no, we just gotta pay bills, or no, we just gotta make money. That is you giving up that's you giving up your natural place in this world in order to assimilate into an artificial system, for the very purpose of keeping up with the Joneses. Keeping up with it. You know what I mean? And there's something behind who we are. But, go ahead.
One Bible said that we are some high priced slaves.
Said, man, I just wrote a new poem, and one of the lines was, a lot of people don't have ambitions outside of being happy slaves.
Yeah, we say we are high priced slaves. They say we have everything at our fingertips to change our destiny and to form a new future and a new beginning. But one thing he also spoke about, he spoke about us being hunted, and sooner or later we're going to start hunting. And one thing that Farrakhan spoke about was the Europeans are going to start killing themselves. They're going to start fighting with themselves because a lot of Europeans are not into knowledge. I was on a call one time. It was a commerce call, and you know we kicking knowledge. We talking commerce. We doing our thing, and we had Europeans on there. And one European he chimed in. We was on a talk show. He chimed in. He said, "You mean to tell me that when I pay my taxes, it goes to the Rockefellers?" just us, putting information out drove him crazy.
Yeah.
Right on the call.
Right.
He said, I'm going to handle this. Something going to be done about this tomorrow. And it made me think about what Farrakhan said. The Europeans are going to start fighting with themselves.
A lot of and this is the thing that's the reason why the progression is taking so long is because they have tricked not just black people, but they trick everyone. Mm-hmm. They present, and this is part of their mind game. This is part of the manipulation that they do. They trick you into this versus mentality where it's white versus black, it's man versus woman, it's Republican versus Democrat. Yes. They have created this construct so that they can divide you based off of your differences instead of us actually seeing our similarities and coming together. Why do they do that? Because they must confuse you and they must distract you in order for them to continue to running the game. One of the biggest problems is that they have convinced the white man that he can eventually become this all-powerful, that he sees other white men. He can move up in this European power structure. And the only enemy is that the black man, is the poor black man, that's the enemy. And so we have these artificial and these erroneous ideas of separation, that the real issue is that there are people in power continuously manipulating the understanding and in our mindset. So now you have people that don't even know who's really after them. They're not just manipulating black people. They're manipulating all races into this one game. This one game of control, power, resources. Right. In order to now, what we're seeing, and one of the things right now is because we're coming up on it, and if you know what you're looking at, we're looking and moving into this one world government. We're looking into this one world, and a lot of people keep on, we still have this idea that there's so many different governments. There's not so many different governments. No. There is a facade, a portrayal of government that will keep the average person
thinking that there's a difference between China and Russia, and no, it's a power structure, and there are people at the top who want to control all and manipulate all power, and there are other rich and powerful people, and they're battling for control and power over everyone and everything. But the name of the game is to divide and conquer.
Always the name of the game.
And
Point
that's what
blank.
they do.
It's only 15% of the world's money in circulation amongst the people. 15%. We're being controlled by less than 5% of the population is controlling everything, making the rules. Of course, you have to know that the government, the politics is a game.
Right.
Of course, you have to know that this is the Europeans, white man's way of playing the game as well as black men play in the NBA and playing basketball or something like that. They think it's a game, and not only that though, it's bad because they're turned not only what could be good apart, they're tearing up other nations and other people. Genocide. You know it's a problem when you can go genocide or kill thousands of people in the country, and then the people who just killed you go have dinner with their family,
Right.
and have no remorse. You know what I'm saying? That's what I said about a judge. When a judge become a judge or a lawyer, they have to learn. They have to master 48 laws of power, and they have to read. They definitely have to master 48 laws of power. Oh yeah, and they have to master the art of war. And mastering those two books, and also they learn how to be a stoic. STOIC. That's a law word. It means to have no emotion.
Right.
No emotion. So if these people right here galvanize law, or not just that, you go before a judge, he sentences you. They teaching the judge and the lawyer to have no emotion. So you know they definitely have no emotion at all. You know what I'm saying? And we're missing a couple of things too, dealing with the stars. I think it's gonna pass us again where whoever's here and they have the right vibration, they would definitely begin to elevate more. Start, you know, in this game too, I learned too, man. Science is everything.
Right.
Science is everything.
See,
You know, dealing with astronomy, astrology.
The science
The science is everything. They know science because we taught it to them.
Right.
And I tell people, the Illuminati is Europeans coming over to Africa, sitting down at black people's feet learning the science.
Right.
Cosmology, ecology, and you know, like they learning all the science.
When we start talking about Illuminati, and you know, that's become a big folklore amongst our community.
Yes, it's
but
stupid.
the Illuminati is just basically scientists.
That's it.
And they vowed that they were the illuminated ones.
Light bearers.
Right. And because they considered themselves the bringer of knowledge, and the enlightenment
They had no knowledge.
But exactly, where did they learn it from?
They learned it for us.
And that's why we have to be able to not only learn history, but connect the dots of cause and effect. See, this is a word that I always like to use. Is called causality.
Yeah, and it's not Newton's third law of science. He got that from Kemet. Causality.
I like that. When you said
he got it from Kemet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So causality, and when I like to teach people, tell people, we have to understand how we got here, and what were the dots that have placed, that have led to this, experience, this understanding of life. And there's so many people that are lost and confused. They grab onto anything that resonates with them. But if you could connect the dots, not only did we teach them, not only are we looking at the 10 Commandments, which came from the 42 laws of Ma'at, not only are we looking at, the Holy Trinity that started with also our set and the rule, and now we have to understand why there was a connection of the dot. And it was all about manipulating the knowledge so that you can manipulate the people for their own personal interest. But when you understand that, let's go down to what the bottom line is. What is your interest? It's all about control and power. So you have people who are manipulating the information in order to control you. Now, again, we talked about being, crushed by the weight of your old knowledge. Not that you lose yourself in this rabbit hole of learning, but you have to come to an understanding of what it is your identity, what you play a role in,
and what is your purpose here on earth? Because a lot of people, and you talked about, a lot of people wanting to be in the matrix is because we are in this perpetual state of chasing pleasure. We living in the fleshly desires, so we have this continual, thirst for pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have taken away our understanding of what purpose is. But again, there's a reason behind all of that.
Right.
And when we get down to the core of it, when we can understand it, we look back. The Vatican and things like, and between the Vatican, the Catholic Church, the Crusades, all these different things, they went and stole knowledge, and then they destroyed the temples, they destroyed the library,
burned down,
the
book, the Alexander Library.
Right, so we can never learn where the origin of this stuff came.
Right.
And I know you know this, but for the audience, it's like, the Vatican has a library, football fields long, of books that they will not release.
7 miles of information.
Yeah,
Scrolls.
Yep, scrolls, books,
man, ancient old books,
tablets.
They showed one time a video of a guy going down there, and it was like 3-4 guys standing over him. I mean, and he was not nowhere near
the back.
He was in the front part. He was nowhere near the back part. Not just that, man. They going over there. Pirate taking our artifacts, put them in a museum, stuff like that. The European say that we are the cause of this. No, you are the cause of this. And you have to think about their creation story, their origin. They come out the Caucasus Mountain. Some people say they do, some people say they don't. But I do know this for sure. They come out of a place where you can picture a mile in the air of ice. You get what I'm saying? You want to know something? Read the book on The Iceman's Inheritance. Man. Read that. Read another book called My Irrelevant Descent. See where they come from. These Jews come from eating babies and stuff like that, drinking the blood of their enemy. This is what they believe in. We was not doing that. Right. We were students of nature. We were building things with no real estate, no money. You know what I'm saying? We mastered how to build structures. Look at the current structure today, and look at the current structure in the past. You want to Google something? Google the ancient buildings of Chicago. Google the ancient buildings of New York. These buildings have been burned down. These are magnificent structures that we have built. The Moors built and showed a lot of people what to do and how to do it. They told the Europeans, get these pigs out your house. Right. Get these chickens out your house. Hygiene. Yeah, dealing with chicken pox and stuff like that. Taught you how to bathe. You get what I'm saying? How, we brought, when the Moors were traveling, and a lot of commerce do come from the Moors as well. We traveled, we brought timber, we brought the purple dyes, we brought the different fruits. We navigated this whole world. In order for you to map stars and draw them, you need to know the seas as well. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? And people gotta realize that. Start have start having a better thought system of yourself. You're not just from the ghetto. You are a very important person. Right. You gotta be important when they constantly. Your origin story. Yeah, learn your own origin story and build from that. You gotta know you're important when they constantly keep trying to give you bad food. When they constantly trying to give you GMOs, they want to contaminate the water. They want to contaminate the air. You know it's a demon when somebody want to block out the whole sun. Oh man. It's a demon where they want to make 3D printed chicken. 3D printed fish.
When they want to give men hormones so that they can produce breast milk.
Exactly. This is crazy.
They're disrupting, and we talked about that on a previous episode, and it's about they are trying to destroy the natural order, and this is the European culture, the ones that came from the mountains.
That's right.
They feel as though that they were at war with nature.
That's right.
And so as you see them pushing out their agenda, their idea is to replace the understanding of divine order and natural order and replace it with their own order so that they can state themselves as superior to God. Oh, you're not the only one that can produce life. We can artificially produce life. You're not the only one that can grow fruit. We can artificially grow fruit. So they're at war with the natural. They're at war with the divine.
Yes, they are at war with the Creator. And I hate to tell you, they're going to lose.
They're going. I don't hate to tell me that.
Yeah, they're going to lose.
Nature is undefeated.
Undefeated. One thing I do know is this. Right now, there's a lot of trash and pollution in the ocean. In the water system, space has been documented, or what you call it. We know a lot about space. We don't know a lot about water.
There's only 5. From the last thing I read was 5% of the ocean has been explored.
5%.
And there are animals and species down there that we have no idea
what they do and how they do it. Now check this out.
The aliens.
They over there in is it Alaska or Antarctica? Some scientists were digging in the ice, and something come up the ice and kept killing them. Kill them, go back down in the ice. They were trying to do some tests on some type of bacteria that's living up under the ice. And this particular bacteria has formed something and is giving whatever's in that water a natural habitat. And they drilling in the ice to take samples of what's up under the ice.
Foolishness.
And something is coming out of the ice and out of the water killing them. Only one scientist made it out. See, this is the type of work I do. You know what I'm saying? I do a lot of research and studying. And not just only that though, when you think a story is fake, sometimes look into the local paper. You can Google. You walk around with a smartphone. People walk around with smartphones. You can Google what you want to know. Not just that, use the smartphone as a tool to learn. Use the smartphone as a tool to grow.
And see, that's part of what they do is they continuously pump us with the IG and the TikTok. Then literally algorithm of how you keep people glued to these different social media platforms. Anybody wants to watch the movie Social Dilemma, and they don't want us to know this, and it is our responsibility. But there is a trap that they are walking us to. There is a science to keeping the mind at a certain frequency, keeping the mind numb and dumb and dull to the frequency. They want you to. And we was talking about this earlier today. Actually, was having a conversation. There is a certain frequency when you operate out of fear.
That is true.
There's a frequency, and that frequency keeps you at a low vibration.
Yeah, it attacks your lower pituitary gland.
And that the fear, the need for survival. So when we have people that are I gotta find a way to pay this bill, or I gotta pay this, or I gotta make ends meet, or I gotta hurry up and go to work. There was an 8-hour work shift, and then went to 10-hour work shifts, and now there are 12-hour work shifts, and we have to keep them perpetually in this state of survival and fear, so that they never can operate out of the frequency of enlightenment. They can never have the curiosity.
You have to find that sweet spot.
Yeah.
You as a person, like I said before, use it as a tool. You know, I didn't say use it as your only tool.
Right.
Use it as a tool. You know, and not just only that. You know, you mentioned the vibration. Yeah, they hit the lower chakras, and when they hit the lower chakras with fear, it goes right up to your pituitary gland. But I tell people how to deal with that. When they hit that lower chakra and it goes to your pituitary gland, you have a pineal gland. And then right behind that pineal gland, you have a black gland that they don't even know what it's for. And then they say that we have a lot of junk DNA. The junk DNA is being kept junk for a reason. They call it junk DNA. But the junk DNA can be jump started. I'm gonna tell you why. When you start eating right, when you start not dealing with so much fear, when you stop trying to keep up with the Joneses, be content in your situation, find the happy spot, find the sweet spot. Then you'll be able to read more, you'll be able to focus more, and you're gonna tap into the so-called junk DNA, and then you'll start to have a different message. I tell you this. I was angry all the time, mean. A lot of people thought I was military when I was raising my kids, but I knew what I wanted for my kids. I knew I wanted both. I'm a boy and a girl. I want both of them to be into knowledge. some form of knowledge. Both of them are doing that. I want both of them to be smart and be in tune with self. Both of them are doing that. Not just that, by me being from the hood, I didn't want my daughter doodle browning in the projects. I didn't want my son hanging out trying to be in the gang. So I protected my family by any means necessary. Any means necessary. When they called me, I pulled up. And it was consequences behind it. Because one, I didn't want I didn't want my son and my daughter to be caught in this madness and this mayhem. And I wanted them to have shelter, to have a home, no matter what. When you come here, you protected. You ain't got to worry about nobody coming over here, knocking on the door, doing something, or somebody saying anything to my wife, my son, or my daughter. And you can ask anybody that. I made sure that we were protected.
Now, I know your son, he's into robotics, and he's
my son is into engineering, into robotics.
Right.
My daughter's a leader. You know what I'm saying? She works for corporate America, and she loves it. You get what I'm saying? She don't let nobody run her over, mistreat her, disrespect her. You know, and if it ever get to that point, she'll call her father. I don't care if she's a grown woman. I'm her dad. So by me being her dad, I'm coming. If I gotta drive or fly, there will be no problem with that. But us as a people, man, we gotta find that sweet spot. Start reading, start educating yourself. Take it one day at a time. You're not gonna conquer everything and be ready to go just like that. And then for any information that you find on social media, do your research. Google it, buy a book. You got audio books. If you don't want to read, you got audio books. If you don't wanna do audio, you got the video. You know what I'm saying?
The biggest thing you have to understand the value and the importance of learning. You know what I mean?
Right.
Be a student of life.
Right.
Be a student, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's right there is one of the biggest hurdles. And we always say things about our culture and our community, but we have to be able to spark that thirst for knowledge. We have to be able to spark that need for it. And this current culture is going to hand feed you. It's going to give you the convenience of it, because that convenience is going to make you docile. That convenience is going to lull you to sleep on yourself. But for a lot of us, we have to be able to understand the importance of learning what it is that has happened, it is happening. You know what I mean? Because it is taking place right now. Just had a conversation with a brother, and it was like, he wants to, doing what he has to do to take care of his family. And shout out to him for doing that. But part of taking care of your family is, like you said, being able to inspire them and spark that understanding to learn, to be, to build yourself up, to build your mind, your body, your spirit. You know what I mean? And that's something that our community is definitely in need for.
Yeah, our community is lacking that. One thing is like we don't have a lot of leaders like we used to have. And by the media, social media, European law, it is uplifting the black woman in a different mindset, in a different way. You get what I'm saying? And not just only that though, we have to deal with the mental disease of our people as well, the trauma. I tell any man, first build yourself. Know thyself, do for self, think for self. You know what I'm saying? I learned that from Islam. Those 3 principles are very important. Because once you know yourself, you're gonna do better.
Right.
Once you start doing for self, you're gonna know what you need to do and how you're going to do it. And when you start thinking for self, you're not gonna get yourself caught into the European web. When I call it the European web, the European spider web. You're not gonna get yourself caught into the prison system. You're not gonna get yourself caught into certain things that'll be detriment to you. But you're going to figure out a way, and you're going to compile that particular equation, and you're going to grow. When you grow, you're going to manifest. You know what I'm saying? Like I said before, the importance is learning your story. What happened to your mother? What happened to your father? What happened to your grandmother, the big mamas? You know what I'm saying? What happened to your uncle, your granddaddy? You know what I'm saying? But us as a people, we need to set our differences aside. Kick the European out of our business. Kick all these other nations out of our affairs. We come together as a people. That's what they don't want. Yeah. They don't want the cosmic unity. And I call it cosmic because if we set our differences aside, the Hebrew, Kemet, nation of guys on earth, 5% Nation, Christianity, and you know, Jehovah's Witnesses. We come because we are mostly in these religions, these so-called schools of thought. We set our differences aside and we come together cosmically. When I mean cosmically, I mean us coming together, dining together. We breaking bread together and really meditating together. You know what I'm saying? Hug your brother. Tell him you love him. There's no problem with saying love. Hug your sister. Respect the sister. The decline of the black community is how we treat our sisters. The decline of the black community is how they constantly continue to perpetuate madness and got our sisters on internet, half naked, half dressed. The decline of the black community is stripping us of what we're supposed to know as a people. This is a problem. You know what I'm saying? And the science behind it is them disrupting what you call the natural order of things. We are the natural order. Once you learn that, we are the natural order.
Right.
We are the natural order. We were not hunting animals for meat. We walk with animals. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We walk with the lions. We can't do it now because we have broke up that natural selection from us coming here and being students of nature, coming into knowledge intuitively. Then the European come because they were hungry. They had no food. You know what I'm saying? And by them not having no food, they didn't know how to hunt. And disease killed a lot of people. Somebody said it's the worst time to live. This is the best time to live. Go Google other diseases that wiped out half of humanity several times. See, this why it's important to read. This why it's important to study, to take your time with little paragraphs, meditate on them, read them, learn words. We got to get back to that. We did that. We learned how to fight. You know what I'm saying? From watching the animals, you know what I'm saying, in nature. One thing I learned too is the elder, Mfudisi Jehutimus. One thing I learned from him was he's a black belt and he won, so they gave him a free trip to China over there. And he went into the Grand Master's office. And he was shocked. He went into the Grand Master's office, as the story that he told. He said, there are black people on the wall. He said, these are black people in here. And guess what the Grand Master told him? It's your job to tell your history. It's our job to tell our history. So, of course, somebody from China is not going to be like, oh, yeah, the first Grand Master was black. But it's your job to know your history. That's what I got from that. It's you're responsible to know your history.
That's a fact.
You're responsible to know your blood type. It's foolish to walk around here and you don't know your blood type.
They said that, there was an Asian, and I forgot who it was, but it's like, yeah, there's been great atrocities that have been done to black people, but it's not our job to defend them. It is our job to defend our people.
That's right.
And we have to be inclined to see, we've been, a lot of people that don't see the value in us, and they are, a lot of people, and I say this because I'm speaking from a generation. My generation came up in a certain type of way. You know what I mean? I was fortunate because I have my mother and my father. My father's a history teacher. He was a teacher 22 years in board education, New York City board education, as well as being third generation, preacher kid. Like my father was a preacher in the Hebrew Israelite ministry. My grandfather was a Baptist preacher. So there was a lot of things that I grew up with and being involved in community. But what I saw from having that upbringing is there was a lot of brothers my age, and I'm 34 right now. There's a lot of brothers our age that never had those influences, never had that guidance towards information, knowledge, and never had that value placed upon them. Now you're a little bit older than me, and so there was a generation before that. We did talk when we had the Naeem Akbars, the Dr. Ben, the Henry Clarks, the Amos Wilsons, the Crush Wilson.
Yes.
We had our master teachers who instilled that for a certain amount of the population, amount of our people. But we lost that when we went into the 90s. We lost that when we went into the early 2000s. So now you're looking at people who were raised, literally, and I say this all the time, they were raised off of TV. They were raised off of social media. And so they don't have that that they don't have the value. See, I was given the value of it because I saw my father, and he taught me the value of these things. So as I grew up, and I when I went to college, I kind of strayed away from it a little bit, but that was just because I was getting caught up in the culture. But when that was over, back to my roots, I understood the value that was being given to me at a young age. But a lot of people didn't have that being placed on them at a young age so that it could be their foundation. My foundation is knowledge. My foundation is understanding. My foundation is faith. So for a lot of people, they were never given that as a foundation. And now, because of this, the chaos that has been presented in this world, they have a very unstable foundation. And it all comes back to, well, I can't be broke, I can't be poor, I can't be this, I gotta keep up with the money, I gotta keep up with the Joneses, I gotta have the nicest thing. That's where they place their value. They place their value on the status, they place their value on the celebrity, they place their value in those things. So that's what they're being led by. And it's so crazy because we live in a time where our heroes, you talk about we don't have any leaders, but our heroes and our leaders are all athletes and musicians. You know what I mean? And so our role models are now people who are pawns of the system. They're pawns of this culture. So not to say that you're not wrong at all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that, but from my perspective, I see where the disconnect is. Why we aren't protecting our sisters, why we aren't, acting in our masculine, why we aren't understanding the value of being black and the value of being, the original people. It's because they were never instilled with that seed. That seed has to be instilled in you and then let it grow and blossom so it can be your foundation. But a lot of people weren't given that seed.
I'm gonna be telling you the truth, I wasn't given that seed either.
Yeah.
I was not given that seed, but when I got that spark,
Yeah.
I went and I stayed on that path. And I was fortunate to be able to keep going on that path. And not just being fortunate, I was hungry.
Right.
A lot of us gotta get hungry.
Yeah.
We gotta get hungry, man.
Get tired of
but
I
do look at the past elders and how people now in social media, they say they were broke, they were poor. Like DJ Academics, he said something about the old rappers, they dusty, stuff like that. But the money game is bigger now. You know what I'm saying? When they got a contract back in the day in the hip hop world, it was 150,000, 100,000. You know what I'm saying? That was good money then.
Man, listen.
But now they getting millions. It's a different money game now. Because they constantly trying to control the narrative. They know they're not gonna wean somebody in with 50 or 100,000 and give them a $300 video budget. Stuff like that. They like, nah, we're gonna give. They gotta open up the bag.
Right.
And you gotta think about it. People will perpetuate madness from my mother's generation all the way to your generation, or even younger. It's old money. They got plenty of it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? See, once the plan is in effect and dealing with white supremacy, then you're dealing with old money. So they can continue perpetuate the man. They continue to keep up chaos.
And not only that,
you know what I'm saying?
Just once people understand, the money game, they're just printing it out.
We have nothing to
value of it.
Like I said earlier, the money for the United States of America is the people.
Right.
Taxing the people. The money for the United States of America is the medical system. You know what I'm saying?
Sick.
Making you sick. Why is it that right before COVID there were 70 holistic doctors come up dead, including Dr. Sabi? You know what I'm saying? We got to think smart about this. And I'm going to say this too for the listening audience. They are trying to get rid of information. That's why I purposely memorize certain information. I purposely memorize certain herbs and what they do and stuff like that. We have to get back to that. Because once all the books is gone, then what? Who we gonna listen to? Bill Gates? No, a man without a degree who's gonna give you some medical advice? Come on, man. We gotta, the money game is bigger, but we gotta be smarter, be wiser. If we come together as a unity, as a conglomerate, you go into different states. They got little Texas. Little China, little this, little that. but we don't have nothing to call our own. But they call it ghetto.
Right. Yeah, a little Italy, a little.
You know what I'm saying? You know, you got a little France, a little Italy, little Italy. We gotta form something. We gotta come together. We gotta build. And for the athletes, the actors who have the money, they gotta break the stride. One person right now is breaking the chain is Ice Cube. Ice Cube breaking the chain. I'm gonna tell you why.
Those big three.
The big three, and he put out the information dealing with us as a people saying the black man owns less than 1% of the world's wealth. We own less than 1% of the world's wealth. That is crazy when everything comes from us.
Mm-hmm.
Without Mother Africa, without Kemet, there would be no Western world.
Right.
Gold, silver, platinum, timber. Come on, man, we did this.
Rubber.
We did this. We got to go back to it and finish it. One thing about us, our work is not done. No matter what they do for us, the pause and the chemtrails and all this stuff is in the media and stuff like that. We are going to, 1, find a way, 2, make a way, and 3, have another way. That's definitely it. We definitely going to find a way, make a way, and we're going to have another way. This is not the end of the original man or the original woman who populated this whole planet.
You can't destroy it.
You cannot destroy something that's cosmic, even though they're trying to do it. And the European is at war with the source, the one created consciousness. They're at war with the one created consciousness. And guess what? They're going to lose consciousness. That's exactly what's going to happen. And they are constantly putting this image on not just the news, different shows. They're all commercials. Everything is interracial now.
Right.
Because the European know that they have to
Intermingle for their survival.
For their survival.
Yeah, but
Dr. Francis Cress-Welsing said they know that they're dying. In the black community, you have abortions. In the European community, you have herbal stores. A lot of herbal stores. When you go vitamin stores, they got a lot of vitamin stores in different European community. Vitamin shots. They're trying to find a way. And the black woman has to stop messing up their body. The black woman going to mess up their body. The European woman, you see them walking on the trail, walking the dog.
Stop assimilating and learning from a European culture because
yes.
it's giving us the wrong understanding of what it is that we need to be doing.
Right.
And I talked about this a little bit about understanding what it is to be man and what it is to be woman. And our identity must come from our source, our origin, our teachers, instead of learning what it is to be woman from their culture because their understanding of woman, as we learn what it is to be woman, there's so much of we can do whatever we want. We can do this if we want to. There's no order involved in it. That's why you see these women who are flaunting their bodies and doing these things because it's a anything goes type of culture.
It is. We gotta stop that.
We gotta go back to the actual purpose and origin. Like I always bring up this order. It's not about having people telling you what you can and can't do. It's about the responsibility to an order that came before you that establishes what it is that we are doing here on earth. Our purpose here on earth comes from an order, you know what I'm saying? And when we start, with the loose, cavity and, being loose sex and having 3 babies and no father and messed up family structures and things like that. And we're presenting these chaos and presenting, these different BBLs and we have all of these different, there is a certain part of us that we are losing. There's a certain part of our spirit that we are losing in that. And our spirit, that is what we cannot lose. That is our connection to the Most High. That is our connection
to the source.
To the source.
Yeah.
That is a connection to the source of everything. And one thing is our spirit. Our spirit comes in a lot of different, shows itself in a lot of different ways, whether it be mentally, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Our spirit is a representation of something, and our actions is a representation of our spirit. So our actions have to be in order with our spiritual inclination, our spiritual connection, our spiritual source. And so when we start acting in the ways of this world, we're losing a certain amount of ourselves, and that's what
We
we can't
we
do.
are losing a little bit of ourselves. I say a little bit. Some people may say a lot. We are a more heightened emotional people. We were not like that. We were loving people, and we love the Creator. We love the All. These are the ancient names. The All, the Source, the Creator. You know what I'm saying? The one supreme consciousness that gave you conscience. You know, we're losing a little bit of that. But
Bring us into some hope, man. Bring
But-
us some hope.
since we are in the age of Aquarius, the age of information, and since we are on the break of a very, very cosmic time, I tell any melanated man and woman, I've been telling them too, keep your face in the sun. Go out, get some of that sun.
No doubt.
We're going to change. There's something that's going to happen with the stars. People may say, oh, some foo-foo or whatever. But get into the study of science. They know what they do when they block out certain things. Look at the holidays and the dates that they fall on, or the time that it falls on, or the vibration that it brings. Get away from these. You want to do something? Get away from some of these holidays. Stop celebrating them. Stop making it the only time when your family can get together is Thanksgiving and Christmas. No, break the chain. Break the chain, then we will live. If we do not break the chain, they're going to keep us emotional. And to the men, stop the competition. Stop the disrespect. We have to elevate as a people. One thing I do love and I like is the core group of guys that I'm around now. One is respect, one is love. If we give each other something, it ain't on the social media within 5 minutes or the next day. When we do something for each other, it's nothing thrown back in our face. And we typically work together. If one of us say something or something like that, or we need something, we work together, you know. And any one of my brothers, you know, I tell them, hey man, I got a big house. You know what I'm saying? You want somewhere to sleep, come sleep. You know what I'm saying? I got a brother just now who wanted, but he found somewhere else to go. You know what I'm saying? But man, this is what I do. This is how we build. You got to think about it. When I was growing up too, my mother raised a lot of kids, and we had always kept 10, 15 kids in the house. We don't do that now. The black man, black woman can barely live together in the house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We losing it. We gaining it back in bad ways. But we got to stay on this consistent path. We got to keep building. You have to build, not destroy. You have to be constructive, not destructive. You know what I'm saying? Know that you are important. You are melanated for a reason. The carbon, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. You have the Creator in you. You have the air in you. You have water in you. You have fire in you. You have the ether in you. You have it all in you at the same time. The divine cosmic principles are in you that makes life. You need fire, you need air, you need water, and you need spirit. And don't forget, you clay, you earth. You need all of them to make life. You have it, you walk with it. Not just saying you walk with it, you are the first with it. No other ethnic group has it like we have it. Now, if you sleep with a white woman, your baby what? Black. There's no thing where a white man sleep with a black woman and a baby white. It doesn't happen.
Right.
You're dominant for a reason. I'm not just saying it because I'm melanated. I'm saying it because it's the truth. I read science. And all these other scientists, European scientists, all these other European people who go in graveyard rob us and over there in Africa, all these people say they learned it from what? The Egyptians. Who were what? Black people. Who were what? The Kemeter Ooze. The Europeans went over there and learned, and then they didn't understand what was input. They didn't understand what was Horus. You know what I'm saying? So they, I mean her root. So they gave the name Horus. You know what I'm saying? They, you know, and they didn't understand the zoomorphic principle of what we were doing. Because in you having a zoomorphic overstanding means you're in tune with nature. So back during that time when someone reigned, they say, I am Shimshu Haru, the mighty falcon. Then you look at the falcon, the fastest bird. Can dive in the water, grab his prey, come back up, no water. Has an extra eyelid, they can see into the sun. The falcon said, I can see into the eye of Ra. You get what I'm saying? Not just that, see his prey 2 miles ahead. 2 miles ahead. So when you see someone back during that time in ancient Kemet, I'm saying Africa because that's where everybody knows, but ancient Africa, ancient Kemet, he said, I am the mighty falcon. This is the zoomorphic that he is perpetuating. This is the characteristics that you are taking up on. And these characteristics are important because we're students of nature. We learn how to build by the formulation of the ants. You get what I'm saying? We learn unity, the importance of a chain. You get what I'm saying? That's why we got to constantly read. We got to constantly build. Because if we don't, then again, we will be destroyed. But as far as I see now, I don't see us being destroyed. I'm really adamant about that and positive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
Because it's for us who are here, like me and you, we eat clean, we keep ourselves together. A certain star may align and we come out. Let's say we come out into the moonlight and we start adapting a certain amount of power. Then what? No Europeans gonna stop us. No. Then what? No weapon that they have is gonna stop us. You know what I'm saying? Right. But, you know, we, the original man, keep yourself in line. Keep yourself in line with the source. Keep yourself in line with the creator.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? If you don't have a place, search a place. If you don't have a destiny, wait on your destiny, it's gonna come. Your destiny is gonna come. A lot of people, you know, they be like, man, I don't know why I'm supposed to be here, man. God don't love me. What? Huh?
You know,
Nah.
you gotta
No.
stop listening to the
No. Nah, foolishness.
Yeah, you gotta stop listening to the foolishness.
Foolishness.
But be able to
Man,
distinguish what it is.
you got a great mind. You have a gland. They don't even know what it's for.
Mm.
In every black man right now, they have a gland that it does not. They don't even know what it's for. We're the only race that keep memories in our veins, and they make stories about it. They know it's true. Think about the vampire stories where a vampire bites you and he see your memories.
Right.
That's us. we ain't bite nobody,
right.
but they made a movie about it.
The
Origin of the idea, because we the only race that have memories in our veins.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Our genetic code carries information.
Our genetic code. We are the codex.
Right.
We are the codex. People are like, oh, this is that. No. Who have they beat? Who have they tried to destroy several times? We are still here.
You cannot.
Right now, overseas in Africa, they're leading in 9 African nations as far as population. Pretty soon, the European is going to be gone, just like Dr. French Cress Wilson said. Straight annihilation. Science. Because they're not the original. They're not the first.
They're recessive.
Exactly. A byproduct. Come on, man.
No.
That's why I continue to read. That's why when people ask me a question, I always have an answer. That's why I always give out resources. We just gave out like 3-4 books here, including your book, probably 5. You know what I'm saying? My Irrelevant Descent, Iceman Inheritance, Spiritual Warfare, Destruction of Black Black Civilization, and he mentioned another book, The 42 Laws of Mayat. I don't think that is a book, but I do know this 7 Laws of Mayat is a book. But anyway, read the 42 Laws of Mayat. And in reading the 42 Laws of Mayat, I read one of the oldest books, the Ptah of Imhotep. That's the Proverbs and Psalms. That's where the Bible got that from.
Right.
And that is Kemetic wisdom.
Right.
That is Kemetic wisdom.
Before the Bible, before your King James Bible, before your
Yeah. The Bible is not it's not an old book. And I tell people, the Europeans have not been in power that long. We have dynasties. We have golden ages.
Right. Ages.
Ages.
Thousands of years.
Dynasties.
Right.
The Christian Bible is what, 6,000 years old?
Mm. It's so
And,
funny.
and less than 10,000 years, they're gonna be out of here. Man, we got dynasty, golden ages, ruled, traveled the world, built up civilizations. They literally don't have nothing. Seriously. The only good thing they ever created was the patent and the trademark system, because they steal.
They still right.
They steal anything that we think of, we make
They
the
try to
wheel.
privatize it.
That's it, man. The wheel, the door, the stoplight. They steal everything.
They take credit for it.
Take credit for it, man.
Yeah. We generated this falsity of wealth backed by nothing.
The very first light bulb still works, but since they so obsessed with commerce and money, they give you light bulbs that go out. The very first light bulb still works right now today. That's why they kept getting rid of Tesla, which he'll credit his research to learning from Africa, Kenya. You know what I'm saying? Pulling free energy out the that's the science we need to get back to. Right. Pulling free energy out the earth. That's the science we need to get back to. How to pull water out of the earth. That's the science we need to get back to. How do we cross grow? You know what I'm saying? How we mass grow? How you slice a branch, put soil in it, wrap it up, and it grows another branch. You cut it off, boom, there go you another tree. Come on, man, we around here playing.
But that's what they do, though.
Poetics, man, they got man. I think it was a Farrakhan, lots of Bahari. Got us deaf, blind, and dumb. Man, they tripping, man.
Yeah.
We are mighty people.
Sure.
Mighty people. We did this, and we're gonna continue to do it. We're gonna do it again.
No doubt.
We're gonna leave, come back, and do it again. That's too much how I learned it right there. People like, you know, leave, come back, do it again.
Nah, man.
I ain't ready for that, man.
Definitely appreciate you, man, coming on the show.
For sure, man. It's an honor
It's
and
just
pleasure,
a wealth
man.
of knowledge, a wealth of information, man, and it really is something that people need to hear, and it's our business, man. And
Family business.
Family business, man.
Family business. Know yourself.
Our business,
Know your history, and get some form of financial literacy.
Understanding.
You know what I'm saying?
Overstanding.
For real.
You know what I mean? Appreciate you, brother, for coming in.
It's an honor and a pleasure, man.
Always,
man. For real.
Always, man. Yo, that's I know this was a gift. This is a gift for anyone that is tuned in to understanding, to overstand. Excuse me. This is a gift that we just had today, man, and I'm so grateful. But that's gonna be the end of this episode. Make sure y'all tune in again. This is Family Business. Our health, our wealth, our business. Family business. Peace, family.
Peace. Imhotep.